Former Education Secretary Besty DeVos joins me now. Betsy, always good to have you with us. Thank you for being here. I want to start by just getting in one more piece of this audio of the arguments today. This is from Justice Kavanaugh. Listen to this.
As I understand it, they are seeking equal treatment, not special treatment. They're saying, don't treat me worse because I want to send my children to a religious school rather than a secular school. Treat me the same as the secular parent next door.
Thoughts on this case, Betsy?
Well, this is a very important case and one that's being watched closely by all of those who have been long advocating for parents to have that power and control over where their kids go to school, where they go to learn. And this last year and a half has brought millions more to that table. This is an important issue and an important case that will be decided soon, but it's already been decided by many families who could make that decision based on the resources they have to be able to afford it. What we've been long advocating for is that all families be able to make those decisions. And contrary to what I heard Justice Breyer say, the money doesn't go to the schools. The money goes through the families, and the families make those decisions. And so this is the important piece of it, that parents, families need to be able to have that control and that power and to make those decisions that are the right fit for their children based on their own family's needs and values.
Yeah, and I would imagine it would go to accredited religious schools, that they would have to meet some measure if he's concerned about, some sort of, really offbeat or something, a school that's not accredited or able to give the equivalent of a public education. But we'll see where it goes. It's very interesting. With regard to the loss of learning that you and I have talked about a lot, it's tragic what happened during COVID. And the studies are now out that show that students who were forced to learn at home are in the worst shape. Those who had more exposure to actual school are in better shape. But look at these numbers of students who scored proficient or above in math. That number dropped 14% in math and 6% in language arts, Betsy. And I was so struck by this. In this environment, you have some schools that have now announced that they're going to close on Fridays and be remote, just because it's, I guess, nice to be home on that day of the week. They took all of Thanksgiving off in a couple of these school systems when they shouldn't they be in a position where they're adding hours to make up for what was lost?
No, absolutely. I mean, the results are tragic, and we're only beginning to understand the full depth of the problem. Defense of Freedom Institute did a study of the 12 largest school districts, and not surprisingly, the ones with the strongest unions are the ones that kept kids out of school the longest. They're the ones where the kids needed to be in school the most, absolutely. And they're the ones, you cited the learning loss averages, but the reality is the kids at the bottom end of the spectrum were hit far worse than those numbers even relate. And we're only beginning to see the real results of this. And it's unconscionable to me that any district or any teachers union would be advocating for taking more time off and distance learning when there is no reason to be doing it. Kids need to be in their classrooms. They need to be in with their teachers. They need to have that hands-on learning time. And the ones who have been hurt most are the ones who are going to pay the price the longest.
Yeah. Just a few seconds, but if you were still in your job at the education department, give me one thing that you would do to try to catch these kids up. 30 seconds.
I would give families the power to make the choices for their kids, where they're going to go to school, where they're going to get tutoring if they need it, where they're going to get additional services, give them the resources that are already attributed to them, and let them make those decisions. They know their kids best.
I mean, it's pretty shocking that we don't hear about this from the highest levels of the White House, that this isn't a national push to catch these kids up and to get them up to speed so that they can advance to the next grade. And it's just never discussed. We don't hear anything about this learning loss and what the advice is from the current Department of Education. We would really like to hear that. Betsy DeVos, thank you so much. It's always good to have your insight.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.